Hello darlings, time to dive back into tarot divination, and today for the principality of Antiva. The situation, the environment, the characters and people of Antiva, what the future might hold for Antiva, and its role for Dragon Age 4. Today's spread is going to be the Celtic cross spread to shed light on various aspects of our lives and to look at situations, environments, and all the influences. I'll be using my Dragon Age Inquisition tarot deck transcripts for the meaning and analysis of this reading. You can follow along, it'll be the first link in the description. And as usual, I'm using my Green Witch tarot deck. Number 1, current situation. 3 of Coins, reversed. MALIKA CADASH, the female dwarf inquisitor. A lack of skills. Well, Antiva has skilled assassins. So maybe there's going to be a character. Our main protagonist is said to not be powerful, not have power. And so maybe we will lack certain skills and we will need an Antivan companion / advisor / a few. Unrewarding work. Well, I'm not so sure how rewarding being an assassin can be, but it's not the only work that Antiva has. They trade a lot. They are a trade hub. Indifference, refusal of advice or training, breaches of agreement, breaches of the veil. The Antivan crows must always follow the agreement that the contract must always be met. If there are breaches of that agreement, perhaps an Antivan crow would break their oath for a greater cause, such as going after Solas or trying to save Thedas. Monotony, laziness, poor workmanship, and lack of conviction. So this is interesting. Number 2, current influences. 10 of Swords, reversed. Iron Bull, when the chargers are sacrificed. Exhaustion, narrow escape. Narrow escape from an assassin. Catastrophe that is averted. So that's actually a good thing. That's influences. Well, there were multiple averted catastrophes in recent Thedosian history. Fear of ruin. Well, there are a lot of merchants in Antiva. They could fear ruin for their business. Deeper understanding. I'd like a deeper understanding. We do also have a deeper understanding of a lot of things in the lore of Dragon Age. Disappointment. Mercy. A merciful assassin. Recovery. Well, the Inquisitor does need to recover. Maybe part of that recovery will be done in Antiva, or maybe recovery in the sense recovering a lost artifact, recovering, like finding something. Forgiveness. That's interesting. I'm not sure who will need forgiving aside from Solas and who will be doing the forgiving aside from the Inquisitor. But if this is in regards to Antiva, there is much that we don't know yet, but still quite a bit that was developed into Winter Nights regarding the crows, the dynamic between Lucanus de la Morte and Ilario de la Morte, which one is destined to take over to be the new Talon once Caterina de la Morte passes on, which one actually wants it, which one doesn't want it, but might have to inherit the title. And so I'm thinking maybe forgiveness in regards of that. Number 3, foundation of the situation. 6 of Coins, reversed. Terra Adar, the female Qunari inquisitor. Greed and debts. Well, there are a lot of merchants in Antiva, and they can be greedy and they can get themselves into trouble, into a lot of debt. Overspending. Problems finding employment. Well, if there are certain problems, if there's an invasion, trade might suffer, and so merchants and their employees might suffer. Materialism, poor choices. Will the Talons make poor choices? I doubt that, because they will work to protect Antiva. However, there was a very poor choice done by Emil Cortez, who believed the Qunari would keep Antiva free of the Qun when he started assassinating all the other Talons. That was a poor choice, and he suffered the consequences for it. Envy. Liabilities. Well, Emil Cortez was a liability for Antiva and the Talons. Good riddance. Loss due to negligence. Antiva doesn't have a military body per se. The crows are numerous. They can protect Antiva, but without a huge military body, even if there are alliances and bloodlines throughout Thedas, there are no alliances or bloodlines with the Qunari. And this neglect of certain areas might not be as protected, and they might not be able to cover all of Antiva and protect all of Antiva. I have no doubt that the Qunari will succeed in at least beginning their invasion, penetrating some of Antiva's defenses or lack thereof. Theft. Okay. Thieving from the merchants. Deception. Well, we saw that. Bankruptcy. Blackmail. And this is the foundation of the situation, where Antiva stands now. I think that Qunari invasion plays a big role, and what Emil Cortez did, plus it leaves Antiva more vulnerable than it was before, with half the Talons dead. With only 4 Talons remaining, they will have to either name new Talons or figure something out with just 4 of them. It's going to be trickier than with the full body of the Talons still intact. Number 4, passing influences. The Queen of Staves, upright. Morrigan, women aged of 36 and older as a character. It could be one of the Talons or another Antivan character. It's not necessarily an old woman, so I don't think it represents Caterina de la Morte. Optimism. The Talons could be maybe not necessarily optimist, but they'll strategize to not lose hope in being able to protect Antiva. Being practical and sincere. I assume the Talons will know how to be practical and sincere with each other in order to protect Antiva, especially since they know the Qunari are planning to invade. Kindly eloquent. Kindly eloquent makes me think of Ilario de la Morte, the supposedly good-looking one. Insightful. Well, many Antivan characters, including the Talons, a lot of characters are insightful. Channeling energy. Channeling that energy. Some of them are mages, but also even the non-mages like Lucanus de la Morte, who can detect the fade and magic because of the itching at the back of his eyeballs, this thing that he has that activates when the veil is thin or when a lot of magic is being used. It's like a magical ability. So energy, activated energy. It could also represent that there will be an area in Antiva that Solas will use as a means to tear down the veil. He will be channeling energy from that place, from an ancient elven site, either from Arlatan Forest, the Green Dales, from anywhere, and that will be channeling his magical energy there. Independent, strong-willed. Antiva is strong-willed. The people, the country itself is a living entity. Resolute. The Talons are very resolute in figuring out how to protect Antiva from the Qunari invasion. Capable. They are very, extremely capable. Socially adept. Of course, the people in Antiva are socially adept. Even the crows, not only are they physically adept, but they are socially adept in how their names can cause fear in some people. But the royals, because of Queen Asha Campana, the Queen Mother of Antiva, who organized all those alliances through bloodlines, through marrying and having marriages into a bunch of royal bloodlines across Thedas. They are strong in alliances, socially adept. They can call on favor. They can call on the bloodlines and say, we need you now. We need your help. And you owe this to us. And their social status will garner those alliances, those other military bodies to maybe come and help them. I have no doubt that this could be representative of that. Number 5 is upcoming influences. Within the next 3 months approximately, if it has to do with us, maybe the next 3 months, not of necessarily the game development, but within the game, so the beginning part of the story content, the 4 of Cups reversed. Spellbinder, a lack of understanding. Who will lack understanding? Who will lack understanding regarding Antiva, or who in Antiva will lack understanding? Fantasy. Well, Dragon Age is fantasy, but maybe fantasizing. Delusions of grandeur of Antiva. Boredom. Who will be bored? What is there to be bored about in Antiva? Seriously. Lack of receptivity. Seeking mindless distractions. Brooding. Lucanus del Morte. Animosity. Aggression. Okay, this must have to do with the Qunari. Lack of appreciation. Someone in Antiva will lack appreciation of maybe certain alliances, or allies will lack appreciation in Antiva. I'm like, why do I have to come to your defense? I don't know. But the aggression, the animosity, it could be with one of the bloodlines and alliances. It could be with the Inquisitor. It could be with the Qunari. There are a few possibilities there. And I mean, it would make sense that the aggression or animosity would be closer to the beginning of the game before things fully develop. Number 6 is future influences within the next 3 to 6 months. So further in the game. The 8 of Swords reversed. The Mage class. Truth made clear. That's actually a good thing. The truth about the Qunari invasion, the truth about things with Solas, the truth about certain things regarding Antivan lore that we maybe have not even discovered yet. Ooh, that gets me all excited about it. Like I'm really looking forward going to. I don't know if I'm looking more forward going to Antiva than to Winter. Discovery of an injustice. What injustice will we discover? Self-imposed restrictions. Does this have to do with a potential love interest? Romanceable character who will restrict himself and then let himself be romanced? Or does it have to do with Solas in Antiva, or other self-imposed restrictions regarding the protection of Antiva or the Talons perhaps? Catharsis. Interesting. Experiences of realization and things will come to light, that's for sure. Hasty actions that are regretted. Ooh, who's going to act hastily? Is Solas going to regret acting hastily in Antiva? Is the character the main protagonist? Which Antivan character? I'm pretty sure Mel Cortez regrets his actions. Freedom from oppression. So we will free Antiva from the Qunari invasion. There we go. Or at least one of the choices, or maybe inevitably, liberation of Antiva from the Qunari invasion. Greater acuity. Acuity is the sharpness or keenness of thought, vision, and hearing. Lucanus de la Morte has this acuity when it comes to detecting magic and where the veil is thin. That could be more. The Talons have acuity in regards to protecting Antiva. You know, they're kind of like spies. They can detect things, find things out. If we're in Antiva and we're helping Antivans and the Antivan Crows, this will make the country as a whole, the people, have a greater acuity. All positives for Antiva, regardless. Number 7, environment surrounding the situation at hand. The Knight of Staves reversed. Calpernia, doubt and hesitation. Well, there might be situations where our Antivan allies might doubt or hesitate with certain decisions. We, as the protagonist, might hesitate with certain decisions. Disorganized travel. Elfruit. Falsity. Who will be false? I mean, Emil Cortez was false to the other Talons. This is interesting. It has different nuances and could mean different things. Dependency. Poor health. Some of the royals in Antiva, dependency. Poor health, maybe with the first Talon. She is getting rather old. Conflict with a male. There are a number of male Antivan characters, some of whom we don't know. A hatred for failure. Well, the crows definitely have a hatred for failure. They must always succeed. Jealousy at work. You killed more Qunari than I did. It's like, what? Interrupted activity. Interrupted by the invasion or by interrupted activity. Solas's ritual interrupted. In Antiva? Is Antiva the location where we will interrupt or cause interruptions to Solas's ritual? That's interesting. Weak vision. Well, if Antiva has greater acuity, maybe one person will have weak vision. Solas could have weak vision in regards to Antiva. Being easily swayed and led. I have no doubt that there will be some Antivans who will be able to easily sway and lead others, and people who will be easily swayed and led, perhaps by us. We will know how to convince them to follow us, to help us in our cause. Being easily swayed and led is not necessarily a bad thing. It could be, but it could also be a positive. Number 8 is strengths and advantages. The first major arcana of the reading, 18, the moon. Coal, upright, default, coal. Spirituality and mysticism. Well, there's probably a lot of lore and artifacts hidden in and around Antiva, scattered about, heeding one's instincts. Although Canis de la Morte definitely heeds all of his instincts when he gets that scratching at the back of his eyes, heeding other instincts when it comes to protecting Antiva, when it comes to discovering certain things in Antiva to protect Antiva from the Qunari, from Solas, and to help the Inquisitor / new protagonist. Following intuition. Again, the Talons will follow their intuition to protect Antiva in the best possible way. Manifesting the subconscious. The subconscious in the waking world is the subconscious in dreams and the fade. Insert fade sequence initiated in Antiva. Magic, rites and rituals, psychic visions and dreams. Insert fade sequence initiated in Antiva. Mind-altering experience. Insert fade sequence. Cycles. Okay. Cycles of life. Looking beyond the surface for hidden truth. Oh, looking beyond the surface for hidden truth. Beyond the surface means going deep, insert deep roads. Maybe from the White Spire, the mountain, the White Spire, since we seem to have seen footage from that. Insert deep roads initiated in Antiva. Exposing deceptions from dishonest Antivans, following in Emil Cortez's footsteps. Qunari, elves working for Solas, his spies. Exposing deceptions of ancient gods, elven or otherwise. Journey. Well, we will be journeying throughout Thedas, northern Thedas. We will be journeying in and across Antiva. I have no doubts. Especially in Orlando, especially with everything established in Tevinter Nights. Number 9, thoughts and concerns, things to keep in mind. The King of Coins, reversed. High Dragon, greed. Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of merchants will be greedy. Maybe some assassins will be greedy with the number of kills. Warning. Warning! Qunari invasion imminent. Warning! Qunari invasion imminent. Obviously, warnings regarding Solas and his ritual. Materialism. Well, For the merchants, maybe. Poor investments, not necessarily monetary investments. And having no military body in and of itself is a poor investment for the future of Antiva. So, yeah, the lack of actual visual military body, Antiva's going to suffer a little bit for that. I have no doubt. That's where the new protagonist and all the old alliances come in, and maybe that's going to be part of the story. Maybe one of the main quest lines will be going to the different places and say, look, Antiva needs you. One of the main missions will be gathering the different alliances, the different bloodlines, to be like, come with me to Antiva. Let's stop the Qunari there. Now let's go back to Tevinter and figure out how to stop Solas. Being tyrannical. Ooh, a vicious old man. Okay, well, that could be Solas because he's like ancient, but vicious old man. Someone we haven't met yet, maybe. Rigid attitudes. Vanity. Well, I have no doubt some Antivans are pretty vain. Failure. Failure at what? Failure with what? These are things we need to keep in mind. The vanity might come in the way that there might be failures. Waste. Things will be wasted. I'm thinking kind of like wastelands, or a waste in magic or energy. Just also Emil Cortez killing half the Talons is a waste. Things that we need to keep in mind so that we can save Antiva. Illness, breakdown, laziness. I don't think there'll be a plague. I'm thinking, blight, we know that there's spread of blight type things like red lyrium and such, so that is like an illness. The illness might not necessarily affect humans and elves and beings, but it might affect animal life and plant life, like we saw in the trailers. Laziness, the easy way out. Being unable to bring ideas to reality. We might find obstacles. There are certain things to protect Antiva might not necessarily be as easy as others, or might not be able to bring certain things to reality. So things to keep in mind so that we can figure out the best possible course of action, the best choices and decisions for the alliances, for the protection in Antiva, to stop the Qunari invasion, to stop Solas, because the blights, the lyrium spreading, half the Talons being dead, all these things will hinder us, and we need to find a workaround. Otherwise, if we don't, critical mission failure. Last but not least, number 10, the outcome. 8 of Cups reversed. Red Templar Knight. Forced changes. Well, having half the Talons topped out of the equation, it forces a number of changes. 4 changes. There's 4 new Talons. But there will be a number of changes. The world is changing as we know it. Thedas is changing. Because of Solas's ritual being begun, it is currently in a constant state of change. Less defensiveness. Well, 1, there's no military body, and 2, half the Talons are dead. It will take adjustment to either name new Talons or to figure things out with just 4 Talons. Regardless, even if they try to replace the Talons, it's a process that takes time. They need to undergo some sort of ritual, a special assassination, the trials to name the new Talons. There will be disputes, disagreements. There's less defenses for sure in Antiva right now, which is where the new protagonist comes in. Dissatisfaction. Well, yeah, there are a few characters who'll be dissatisfied because of what's going on. Solas will be dissatisfied. The Qunari will be dissatisfied. It's not necessarily a bad thing for Antiva, but depending what happens, Antiva will be dissatisfied that maybe parts of Antiva will be infected with red lyrium or destroyed by Qunari, or a number of the population affected by the Qun and stuff. There will be dissatisfaction. Passing inhibitions. That is actually a good thing because of passing inhibitions. So be able to overcome that reckless abandonment that is necessary of ancient sites or ruins, of certain possibilities and situations. I suspect that in Dragon Age 4, if we focus on one thing, it neglects another thing, we save one place, another place is not saved, or we place that place instead, but the other place is not saved. So that would play in the reckless abandonment. Foresight, well, that's actually good. Foresight, being able to foresee things for the future, being able to predict certain things and see certain possibilities to be able to make the right decisions. Having less reluctance. So that's also a good thing. So it's not all bad. It just means that there will be a mix of things, you know, when it comes to Antiva. And yes, because there are changes, because there are things, there will be some disappointments. There will be some negative outcomes amidst the positive outcomes, and maybe Antiva will be more affected than we think or than we realize. It's not necessarily all bad, but it leans towards an Antiva that is on the brink of ruin, that if we focus too much on Solas, the Qunari will invade. If we focus too much on the Qunari, then Solas will destroy parts of Antiva. I think there is no 100% win in this situation. I think in Dragon Age 4 it will be very half and half depending on our choices and decisions. And that's the same thing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this reading for Dragon Age 4 regarding the Principality of Antiva. Like this video if you like it, subscribe to be Jimmy approved, and I'll see you all soon. Masaranas. If you're new here and you like my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications. Like it if you like it, for the like it if you like it dance. You can also follow my website, binkyproductions.com, where I post everything from all my channels. Exclusive! If you want to support me, consider buying my book, Stardust Destinies 1, Variant Facing, Magic, Dragons, Fantasy, all relevant links below. Thank you so much for your time. Your continued viewership is very much appreciated. Masaranas.